We're live August 8th. This is Doc Ellis, John W. Ellis, MD, Ellis Clinic, Oklahoma City. We're talking about VA Nexus report. What is a VA Nexus report? It's a causation report. VA disability, and along with federal workers' comp, the laws are, way a long time ago, are ridiculously fair. Jesus must have written them because they're so fair. But no one knows them. No one knows the law. For 50% of litigation requires a doctor's report. Unfortunately, we doctors are not trained in legal medicine. And so you'll get people writing reports on VA or federal workers' comp or state workers' comp that are not trained, and it just messes up the system. For instance, we had a guy, this is state workers' comp, driving the company truck, has a wreck, has a broken neck. The surgeon fuses it, and he gets a letter from the insurance company because the doctor has to say if it's work-related, if it's caused, et cetera, et cetera. Is this work-related? He said, I don't know, I didn't see the truck roll. Well, that doesn't help anything. Now, VA Nexus report. This is my Vietnam hat. I thought, glad I went to Vietnam. Became a flight surgeon in the Army. Good training in occupational medicine. My real training for the last 50 years, since the 70s, has been in legal medicine. There's no class for legal medicine. I've done 1,586 trials and depositions, including federal criminal court for veterans, for federal employees, post office, Social Security. I have never lost a case because I know legal medicine. Now, VA disability, you need to know VA rules. Okay? They're simple, but there's a lot of them. And you need to know the VA's how to do stuff. Now, your medical records, if you have any from the military, do not meet these criteria. So veteran service officers do not get medical records from in the service and send it to VA and hope for the best. Okay, sometimes it works, but usually it doesn't. I had a senior federal employee who teaches rating officers, the people that look at the records and come up with a diagnosis and a rating and the percentages. Okay, he said, you should never go to the VA without first having your doctors writing your Nexus medical causation report. He came all the way from Ohio to have my physician assistant write one. Of course, I would review it and I'd sign it. Right? Because we know how to do it and we know the law. It's a very fair law. For instance, if you have a knee, right, and you have a ligament strain, a slight strain, just a little bit of movement, it's 10% to the leg. A moderate is 20, a severe is 30. If you have PTSD, brain damage, whatever, mental illness, whatever, I could rate it at 10, 30, 50, 70, or 100. Right? That's why you always want a spouse there, because you turn to the wife, she'll tell you what the number should be. Right? It's very fair. It's old stuff. It's been around forever. When I graduated in 1968, the word for Parkinsonism was Parkinsonism. In the book, it's paralysis agitant. In 1968, we didn't use that term, but it's in the book. So if they have Parkinsonism or some kind of disease from some chemical exposure or fire, burn pit or something, you've got to go to the right place and write that down. It helps. I had a senior rating officer out of St. Louis. Oh, Dr. Ellis, you're so wonderful. You give us a short history. You give us the numbers. Let me show you some of those numbers. Those numbers, like PTSD is not, a number. And you give us the percentages, and you give us a nice causation report, and it really, really helps. Thank you very much. I said, be careful, ma'am. They're going to fire you for being so nice. But anyway, now other states, they won't even send stuff forward. So start with your Nexus report by your doctor. And if someone gives you 10%, check around to see if that's right. Okay? You can actually get online and look up the federal regulations and see what, say, brain damage does or a knee is, and see the ranges. Okay? But be careful. I had a guy, obviously had hearing loss with hearing aids. The VA rating officer said he has noise-induced hearing loss and rated him, but I don't know if 3.5 years in artillery contributed to it. Now that's just bullshit, and that's the right word. Or I had a guy lost toes in Korea because of the cold, And the doctor said, don't know if it's cold in Korea. Well, Google it, fool. So just because they turn you down, that doesn't mean anything. You can always go back and get the right rating. So don't give up. Now, let's say you have no records, and besides, the records are not going to really be enough to win the case anyway. So no one has records in basic training. You may fracture a bone in your foot, have it called a March fracture, and you're going to limp through basic. You're not going to the doctor during basic because you have to repeat basic. Also, back then, you had more testosterone than Marines. All right, so, and so you airborne and Marines and all you guys, don't give up. And I want you to file. If you get 10% for ringing in your ears, that contributes to strokes and heart attacks. You die of that, your widow sends me a letter and I'll get her a pension. Okay? Also contributes to sleep apnea, which is 50%. Okay? It's very fair. We've all been paying taxes to take care of you guys. I had 101st Airborne, Battle of Bastogne. Came in for a back injury. I didn't ask him if he had PTSD. I just assumed it. I said, have you filed a PTSD claim? Nah. I said, well, I'm not going to do your back unless you also file for PTSD. Well, I'm not going to do it. Well, go home. You can't do that, doctor. I paid you $500, came all the way from New York. We charge $500 per condition, or $500 you want a DBQ also. And I said, well, no, I'm just not going to do a half-ass report. So you go home and see that hat on the wall? What do those bars mean? That's right, it's Captain Ella, Sergeant. I'm going to keep your $500. It's called a stupid tax. Now let me ask you this way, Sergeant. Has the PTSD interfered with the relationship of your wife and kids? Okay, Doc, let's file it. Okay, guys, you want other vets taken care of. Now you take care of your family. That means you have to jump through hoops and get this stuff done. Now, every state has a Veterans Commission. It's free. Veterans service officers like DAV, VFW, American Legion, all have people trained that can take your stuff, put it together, and send it to the government. And you want to go through those people. You don't want to do administrative law yourself, but you need your Nexus report first, and you don't need to be paying $5,000 and $10,000 for it. And there's some people that will say, if we win, we want a piece of it. That's unethical. You can't do contingency, doctors. That's unethical. But I somewhat do that. Let's say you got a guy that's homeless, whatever, so what you do is you get $500. Guy, I want you to have skin in the game. I'm not going to give you an appointment because these appointments are rare, are hard to get, and I need to save for veterans and federal boys. So you got to have $500 skin in the game and file for 4 claims. We'll rate all 4 claims. We'll write a report on one. Once you get paid for that, then we'll open the second one or the third or the fourth one as the money comes in. So at least give a discount, but that's not dependent on whether you win or not. I'm going to call it like I see it. I had a vet said, my glaucoma when I got older service connected. It is not my opinion, sir, that that's true. And I'm not going to write an opinion that that's service connected. Now, there may be case law, there may be other doctors that will disagree, and it won't hurt my feelings if you go see them. But it's not my medical opinion that your glaucoma is due to your back and your feet, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm going to keep your money. It takes more to tell you no than says yes. Now, we do $500 per condition. Now, if you have a back and you have nerve pain down both legs, that's one condition. We'll rate your back and both legs, and that's one condition. Right? And hearing loss and tinnitus, that's one condition. Right? Same way with neck and anything down your arms is covered with one. And we'll do DBQs. By the way, some DBQs are wanted by certain rating people, and some are not. They're not required. It's not required. But the trouble is, you don't get to tell the story and open up and explain in English to the lay people that are doing this. Now, the senior federal employee who teaches raters said the doctors and the nurse practitioners of the VA are not trained at all. And they're not. And there's a bias against anybody who files a claim. There's a subconscious bias that probably everybody listening to this has. You don't think you're a racist against people who file claims, but you probably are. Allstate ran an ad for an extra long time because it sold a lot of insurance. We fight fake car wreck claims to keep your car insurance premiums down by Allstate. Now that ad says if you file against Allstate, they're going to fight you. It should have put them out of business. It sure should have been on the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, a 10-minute Chris Rock. Okay? Hey, dummy, buy our insurance, we're going to fight you. But it works because everybody thinks that everybody's doing. I saw an attorney the other day at a meeting, nice lady. Her job is to go through car wreck files and see if someone's having symptom magnification or faking. You're going to make a symptom magnification diagnosis with a JD degree on records without examining the patient? Now that is bullshit. You can't do that. First of all, you're not qualified to make that psychological diagnosis, and you can't do it from looking at records. You have to examine the patient. But let's say there is symptom magnification. Well, you know, when you're in pain, things get magnified. That doesn't mean it's not, and so it's there. And I see orthopedic surgeons diagnose malingering. That's a psychological diagnosis. That's a hard diagnosis. That takes several visits before you can make that diagnosis because they have a bias, especially us doctors. We would rather 99 people not get a pain pill than one trick us, one drug addict trick us. 99 people with legitimate claims be denied than one liar trick us. No. The law is very fair. It goes to the vet or to the federal employee. So, there's your VA Nexus. That's what it stands. Now, medical reasonableness, more likely than not, it's magic words in VA. The doctor has to say that. He's got to know how to say the magic words, the right legal words, that where medicine talks to law. In the Air Force, the doctors that are taking occupational medicine, they're majors, lieutenant colonels, and colonels, and they may be board certified as flight surgeons. They may have board certification in family medicine, surgery, GYN, whatever. And they're taking occupational medicine. Are required to spend a day here with a sick doctor because they all write down the best thing they did in the 3-year residency. Now, I'm a good teacher, but no one's that good. They have no training. They said, "My God, I've been screwing people." Now, here's medical reasonableness. Medical certainty, more likely than not. Doctor, you've got the white coat on. Give us your opinion, because laymen can't do the opinion. We need white coats. So a guy goes on a mission trip, and it's hepatitis A everywhere, and he doesn't have an hepatitis A shot. And doctor, 21 days later, all you get to know is his eyes are yellow. To doctor, that means jaundice, bile from the liver. What's your diagnosis? Well, he's got hepatitis A. Not a diagnosis, not an impression. That's your thought at that moment. Okay? Then you get a CAT scan of the abdomen. There's a gallstone in the liver that could back up the bile into the eyes. And that's your opinion. That's your thought. It's not a diagnosis. It's just that's what it is at that point in time. Then the lab test comes back, and you also have hepatitis A. So you have hepatitis A and a gallstone. At each point in time, with the information you have, that's reasonable medical certainty. I had this state workers' comp. The guy, I rated his back, and the attorney for the insurance company kept saying, "Gary's a really sharp guy," and he shows me a picture of him winning the steer roping contest, holding the big old saddle from the steer roping contest. Could that change your opinion? Well, I sure could. So I have him come back, and then I get the video, and I raised him 10%. Okay, because the video shows his lower back was moving less than I thought. But it put to a layperson throwing a rope. He's doing the heel. He's doing the back end of the back feet of the steers. And he's doing it all up here. He can't do this. The video shows his low back is not functioning at all. So I actually raised it, and the judge proved it. So layman look at the video doesn't mean anything either. You got to know your anatomy and be able to overcome the bias people have. And so we got him from 20 to 30%, which it should be. But that's the truth. And that's the trick. Doctors, if you want to get in this, just tell the truth. That's all you need to do. Other people won't. God bless you all. Thank you for being in service. And you guys file for your family and spouses and widows. If someone dies and you don't have a pension, call Ellis Clinic. Let's see what's going on. We may be able to help you. Of course, if I ever charge the window light and you come through the ceiling, we take care of that for free, folks. God bless.